All right, so I got another video for you all today. This is also going to be a pretty different video than what I've done before on the channel. And this is just going over what I do to make sure that I get the most out of my fragrances, in terms of like their performance and just really just the overall smell. All right, so first things first is obviously, you got to wash your ass. So at the end of the day, that's I would say is probably the most important thing that you want to make sure that you're doing, before you're actually applying your fragrances is wash your ass. And the I would say the what I actually use here is I use a soap here. It's an olive oil soap, and this is going to be from Anatolia Daphne. I purchased this off of Amazon every, probably month and a half or so, month and a half. And I want to say this comes with about 9 of these bars. The bars are pretty large, and I'll just show you here. And this is basically what the bar looks like. All right, so it looks and smells like, solid olive oil for the most part. So this is not going to be like the really fresh, soapy, clean smelling sort of soap that, you're probably used to. This isn't going to be like the Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap or anything like that. This is going to have a very earthy sort of olive type of smell to it. All right. For some people, it's probably going to throw them off. And I mean, to be honest with you, when I wash myself with this soap, it doesn't really leave behind any sort of, noticeable smell, at least on my skin anyway. My skin, after I've, used this, it smells pretty neutral, at least in my opinion anyway. All right. So this is what I use. And the reason for that is most of your, sort of common soaps, whether it be, Dial, Irish Spring, Dove, anything like that, it's going to have an ingredient in it called sodium lauryl sulfate, or SLS. That ingredient is very harsh on the skin, and what it does is it contributes a lot to like drying out your skin and, kind of removing like the natural oils that you have in your skin. And it can also be pretty detrimental to, really sort of sensitive skin as well. So that's why I choose not to, use any sort of soap like that. This is the soap that I choose to use. I've also used the Palestinian soap as well, which is also like an olive oil soap. I don't think that the ingredients on that one are exactly the same. Also, the Palestinian soap, while it is, in my opinion, it's a little bit more oilier. So if you have drier skin, that's probably the best one for you to get. But my issue with the Palestinian soap was the bars are considerably more smaller than what these are, and the cost is higher for those. More than likely, it's probably because of where it's coming from and, having to be imported. I don't necessarily know exactly where this one comes from. I don't know if it says it anywhere on here. It has a Chicago address, or, somewhere right outside of Chicago, I believe. So, I mean, I'm assuming that these are being manufactured here in the United States. But pretty much the ingredients on this particular soap is olive oil, soap base, vegetable oil, and water. So really simple, ingredients that, you can read and exactly what they are. You don't have a bunch of chemicals and stuff like that in this soap. And this soap definitely, it leaves my skin a lot more moisturized than what it would be if I were to use any other soap that has, SLS in the ingredients list. All right. Now, the other thing is when I'm in the shower, yeah, I'm one of those people who use a washcloth. Now, the reason that I use a washcloth is I do like to scrub and kind of exfoliate my skin when I'm in the shower. Now, at least for me, that works for me. So, I mean, that may not work for everyone, but at least for me, that's what works. And that gets my skin cleaner, in my opinion. It definitely, it does, obviously if you're, taking multiple showers in a day, eventually that can sort of, leave your skin feeling a little bit more drier. But I'll get to what I do when I get out the shower, and that pretty much, that kind of counteracts any sort of dryness that I would experience from using something like a washcloth. I think, the people who are against using washcloths or think that washcloths are disgusting, I can understand that argument if you're talking about people who use the same washcloth, more than once. That is disgusting in my opinion, but at least for me, I don't use the same washcloth, each time that I get in the shower. I use it once, and then after that, I don't use it again until it's been through the washing machine. So I think as long as you're doing that, using washcloths are, at least for me, my preferred method. But obviously you have some people who use like the exfoliating gloves. Some people use loofahs or whatever. This is what works for me, is the washcloth. All right, so that is pretty much what I use to actually shower with. Now, in terms of once I get out the shower, to like moisturize myself, what I actually use here is coconut oil. All right, so I'll go to Costco and get a big jar of this. I don't exactly remember exactly how much this costs, but I know it's not really that much. I want to say this whole thing is probably, I don't know, $15 or something like that. And this is going to last you more than likely over a year or so, if you're using this every day. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of keep it in like a little container like this in the bathroom, just kind of dip my finger in there and just get a small amount and place like a small sort of film over each part of my body as kind of like a lotion. And it works perfectly fine for me. It doesn't leave my body smelling like coconut or anything like that. And it really, really, I would say is the best sort of moisturizer that I've used out here in the Las Vegas desert. So out here, I feel like we kind of have to do things a little bit different than what everyone else in the country has to do, because really out here in the southwestern part of the United States, this part of the country is a lot more unique than any other part of the United States. Most of the other parts of the United States experience a lot more humidity. So people's skin in, the other parts of the US don't necessarily get as dry as quickly as, what it would here in Las Vegas. So that's the reason why I use something like this. Typically for me, lotion just does not keep my skin moisturized enough out here in the Las Vegas desert. So that's what I use, and it really, really allows fragrances to really kind of cling on to me and really hold on for a long time. So that's why, sometimes you'll see me refer to a fragrance lasting on my skin for over 12 hours. I believe this has a lot to do with that. It's the fact that fragrance is really sort of clinging on to, this coconut oil that I use. I would say you could use coconut oil. You could use, something like this, a vitamin E oil as well. This is definitely going to have more of, sort of like a more neutral smell. This one, I don't really smell too much of it, except for like right when you first put it on, you can kind of smell like a coconutty sort of smell. But in my opinion, after like maybe 2 to 5 minutes or so, you really don't smell anything on your skin. So that's why I use this, is because I can get it in bulk for really cheap, and this lasts a pretty long time. All right. So in terms of like, washing up, skincare, and that's what I use to, sort of allow these fragrances to stick to me a little bit more. And then, in terms of, anything else, it's just really staying hydrated. So, again, with it being so dry out here in Las Vegas, drinking fluids is something that you kind of have to do, whether you want to or not. You do get thirsty a lot quicker out here than, anywhere else in the country. So definitely I drink a lot of water. But hydration is not just drinking water, right? So that's going to also include, your electrolytes, and you're not always going to get your electrolytes from just drinking water. So I do drink other things like specifically coconut water. This I also get from Costco as well. You can get a 6-pack of this, I believe, for about $13 or $14 or so. And these are really, really good for, getting that good dose of potassium. All right. So I drink a lot of this. I'm definitely incorporate like a lot of like avocados, into my diet as well. I eat a lot of grapes, drink a lot of watermelon juice. I do have like a drink that, I do with watermelon juice. It's watermelons, apples, lemons, ginger, and cucumbers. And that kind of replenishes my electrolytes as well. So, I get it from that, grapes, blueberries, blackberries, just all kinds of different things to, sort of keep my electrolytes up and keep myself hydrated. And so that helps my skin as well. Now, I would say the last tip is when it comes to when I actually put fragrances on, for the most part, I mean, unless it's a situation where like I just get a fragrance in from the mail and I just want to immediately see what it smells like, and I'm not really, worried about like how it performs or anything like that, then I'll spray it on, let's say dirty skin. But when I really want a fragrance to last and I really want it to smell its best, I always apply my fragrances right after I get out of the shower and right after I've applied the coconut oil. And at least for me anyway, that has been, the best sort of time for me to apply my fragrances is right after I've got out of that hot shower. I've dried off, I put the oil on, and my pores are still open at that point. And, it really allows the fragrance to kind of, push out, at least for me anyway, and really sort of, last on my skin. So those are my tips for, getting the best sort of longevity and the best smell out of the, your fragrance. One other tip I would also say is when it comes to applying fragrances, especially like really strong fragrances or fragrances that are known for, people going nose blind to, I would not recommend spraying these fragrances like right here on your chest. Because when you do that, whether it's like under your shirt or like actually on your, your shirt, all that fragrance is going to do is it's going to rise up and constantly be in your nose, and your nose eventually is going to, tune that fragrance out. So what I typically do now is I'll do a spray on each side of my neck, a spray on the back, and then I'll do a spray like on my shoulder blades on each side. All right. And then sometimes, depending on what the fragrance is, sometimes I may spray it underneath my shirt, on my actual bare chest. And then, depending on how many times, if I want to spray it even more, then I'll also sometimes spray it either like right here on my arm or like on my wrist area or something like that. But I tend to not try to spray a fragrance like directly on my shirt so that it's constantly wafting up into my nose and causing me to tune the fragrance out. All right. So I think if you follow those tips, you should definitely be able to improve your longevity when it comes to wearing these fragrances. And you may even notice the fragrances may start to smell even better than what you noticed before. But I would say the biggest thing that you may want to try that may actually give you the best sort of results is to try a soap that does not have that SLS ingredient in it, sodium lauryl sulfate. That I can't stress enough how much that really dries out your skin. And I mean, just, as an example, when COVID happened, When that happened, obviously we were all washing our hands like crazy. And so, I was using a lot of antibacterial soaps, like Dial soap and stuff like that, that had that ingredient in them. And, after washing your hands, probably 15, 20 times a day, it got to the point where the skin on my hands was literally starting to like crack and peel, and actually like hurt to the touch. That's how inflamed my hands got. So I still wash my hands with the same frequency even now, but now I use a soap that does not have that ingredient in it. I didn't actually bring that over to the table right now, but I'll show a picture on screen of what that soap is. But yeah, it doesn't have that ingredient in it, and it's not harsh at all on your skin. So again, I would absolutely recommend trying a soap that doesn't have that SLS ingredient in it, and you'll start to see how much better your skin is able to sort of hold fragrances. All right, so definitely let me know in the comments what you all thought about this video. Let me know if you all also sort of practice the same things as well. And also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Sense. I'll see y'all in the next video.